Fantastic day. We're trying to stream using a new program today. Slightly different program. Same program, different settings, I guess. Is that how it's different? Different settings here. Let me just make sure it's actually functioning properly. I started just a second ago and said we had infinite drop frames. Now we have no drop frames. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Looks like it's working though. So good. All right, great. Hope you're all having a great day. Today, we're going to be reviewing a student's hand histories. This is not a private student. This is a student at pokercoaching.com. It's a guy named Michael Clifford. I love his Magic the Gathering content. The way this came about is I saw... Look, I always liked his Magic the Gathering content, just as an observer before I even knew who he was. And I saw that he was posting about poker on there. Saw he's a poker coaching member. And then he posted he was going to be streaming a little bit of poker, see if anybody wanted to come hang out. I didn't have time to go hang out, but I sent him a message, hey, you want to send me some hand histories? I'm happy to take a look at them. So, he did. Here we are. Let's go through some hand histories. These were played at, I believe, well, we'll see in just a second. Hi, Thomas. Oh, look, there's my baby. 1 second, let's let Thomas say hello. Come say hi. Do you say hello?
Hello.
Oh, you learned a new word. Yeah, say hi, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, you want to come in too?
Yeah.
Come on, sit on my lap. Sit on my lap. All right, let's say hello to the two good boys before they go do their thing.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Can you blow a kiss? Can you wave? Can you wave? Oh. My two good boys. The two good boys.
Okay.
All right, you're going to go out.
No, talk about poker, everybody.
Talk about poker, everybody?
Yeah.
So we're... Oh, you're ready to go take a nap? We're going to be reviewing hands from 5 cent, 10 cent from Michael Clifford. You can follow him on Twitter. I'll look that up in just a minute. Yeah. My two good boys. Don't you love their long hair? We're going to go get hair. Oh, you're gone? Okay, bye. All right, bye. See you later.
I want to stay here.
Well, we have to review some hands. Will you review? Bye, Thomas. Go take a nap. Will you review some hands with me? No. Will you review some hands with me? All right. Sit still. Be good.
Why you stack up the cards?
Yeah. Bye-bye. Go take a nap. All right, James.
Hello. Hello.
Bye-bye. So yeah, Michael Clifford in the chat. CL1FFY81 on Twitter if you want to follow him for his Magic the Gathering content. All right. We're going to be going through some hands. We're playing this on Global Poker. You all know my spiel about Global Poker. They try to play within the rules of the U.S. government, but they make a big mistake of
Be quiet.
yeah, you gotta be quiet. Of making you play with gold coins. And the problem with these gold coins is that they're not required to cash you out. So do not keep a lot of money on this site because they may just decide to not cash you out. Nap time for Thomas. What time did he get up? He gets up at about 6:30. He takes 2 naps. I think naps are good for children. All right. Let's go through these hands. So this replayer for Global Poker is not particularly great, but we're going to do our best with it. It doesn't actually show Cliffy81's hand, so I'm going to have to relay it to you. Here we have Ace-9 of Hearts, okay? Everybody remember, Ace-9 of Hearts, under the gun, playing 8-handed. I would generally recommend for cash games online to follow the implementable GTO charts at pokercoaching.com. For 100 big blind 6-handed poker, I know we're playing 8-handed, just play a little bit tighter. So I would generally recommend following those ranges. That said, you should adjust to whatever your opponents do wrong. If you find that they just fold way too often, then maybe you play a little bit looser. If they are calling stations, maybe you play a little bit tighter. Hey, stop, man! I'm trying to do the show. I'm going to make you leave if you don't be quiet. All right, Ace-9 of Hearts, open up under the gun. Then we get 3-bet to a $1.20. Oh, you don't see the table.
I need to go.
You need to go? Okay, bye-bye.
I need to go.
See ya. Have a good day. Bye. Love you. You're a good boy. All right. We raise Ace-9 of Hearts under the gun, 8-handed. Get 3-bet by third position, which is the button cutoff hijack low jack seat. And when it folds back to us, playing $16 deep. I don't think we want to fold, but calling's also pretty rough, right? So this is a spot where I think we probably just want to 4-bet. Folding's fine, calling's fine. I'm looking stressed today. I just hopped out of the shower, so I'm hot and wet. And it's hot in this office with 2 boys on top of me. All right. So this is a spot where I think you can really go either way, anyway, fold, call, or 3-bet, depending on what you think about your opponent. If you think you're going to have a lot of pre-flop fold equity, just put in the 4-bet. If you think your opponent's going to call you virtually every time with a range that mostly beats your ace-9 of hearts, you should probably fold. Or call, one of the two. Anyway, this time we do put in the 3-bet. By the way, I've reviewed a few of these hands, but not all of them, so I don't know what happens. And we make it $295 out of our $15 total stack. I think I'd go a little bit bigger. You're going to find from out of position, when you're playing 100 or over 100 big blinds deep, you usually want to go into about 3x the opponent's raise to have any pre-flop fold equity. Otherwise, unless the guy just has absolute garbage that's going to be super dominated, you're going to get called basically every time. And when you have a hand like ace-9 of hearts, you don't really want to get called. And if you are bluffing any portion of the time here, as we clearly are with ace-9 of hearts, you'd much prefer to just make it a little bit bigger. All right. I love that people are preaching to Jonathan Little about the cold showers. All right. Flop comes ace-king 2. If you don't know, we've been doing the cold showers for quite a while. All right. Flop comes ace-king 2. The pot's, well, we can't rewind on this replayer. Pot was $6. We bet $2.10 on ace-king 2 with ace-9. I think that's fine. You could also just check. So think about this, right? In this scenario, ranges are going to be very tight. At least they should be. Because we have us under the gun, and then the low jack 3-bet, and then they called our 4-bet, right? So they don't have garbage. At this point, they're going to have really just pretty good hands. So if the opponent just has very good hands here, what does that look like? Well, it's going to be a whole lot of ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, maybe. Then it's going to be stuff like suited aces, which we're okay against, but not great. Then it's going to be stuff like king-queen suited, queen-jack suited, jack-10 suited, maybe lower suited connectors, small pairs. And a lot of that range is just going to fold to any bet. So I definitely think checking is fine. But at the same time, if you think about your 4-betting range, if it actually is only aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace-king, and then a few bluffs, it's probably okay just to bet small with everything due to having a bit of a range advantage. Reinhardt says the opponent has lots of pocket pairs as well. I would definitely disagree with that across the board. You should not be 3-betting pocket 6s ever here in the opponent's shoes. That would be a big blunder to 3-bet an under-the-gun raise with pocket 6s. Those are hands you definitely want to call with. So I think you're going to see mostly like decent to slightly marginal suited connectors like 10-8 suited. I think that's reasonable. Really, it's going to be a very polarized range to 3-bet. If you study the GTO charts at pokercoaching.com, the 3-betting range for in-position players should just be very polarized. And against under-the-gun range, you really don't want to be doing that. Oh boy, we have our first bot of the day blocked. Only 11 likes so far. To be fair, I haven't given away much content today. We had to deal with the children first. So anyway, we bet. Opponent calls. Turn is a 5 of hearts, giving us a flush draw. Remember, we have ace-9 of hearts, okay? Now we have a hand that is very strong, and I think I would probably just go for a check. Because now if we bet the turn, you have to presume the opponent's going to fold out a lot of worse hands besides like exactly king, queen, and king, jack. And even those, they may fold if you bet too big. So if you are going to bet, you definitely want to go small, like 250. But I think the right play here is to probably check and go from there. You play online, a lot of guys 3-bet 6s and other small pairs there. Well, great. I'm glad the games were super soft. If your opponent's 3-bet small pairs, they're going to get crushed. Like absolutely crushed. Because they're going to be so dominated. And also, on top of that, they don't get to see cheap flops with small pairs, which is exactly what you want to do. So I'm glad to hear the opponents are playing incredibly poorly. All right. So I would probably check turn. And we just go all in. And I don't like this play. I think this is going to result in your opponent playing very well. If the opponent's range is reasonable, right? You're going to make stuff like king, queen fold and pocket 10s fold. But those are drawing nearly dead, so you don't really care about those. You want those in the pot. And if the opponent has an ace, it's probably going to be ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, which is not going to fold, and you lose to that. So I think in this scenario, when you jam, you're really just making worse hands play very, very well. And Michael, if you're here, feel free to interject. I see you have here that you decided to turn your pair into a bluff. But, like, it's not a bluff because only better hands are going to call. A bluff essentially means you are trying to get your hand to fold. Again, I'm reading your analysis here, and maybe it's not quite accurate because we talk about the river play, but here you just rip it in on the turn, right? So this is a spot where we have a very, very easy check, I think, on the turn, looking to check call to induce all possible bluffs and also make our range look weaker so the opponent maybe does hero call on the river with king-queen or pocket tens if we decide to make a small river bet. Obviously, we're not susceptible to being outdrawn at all because we have the ace-9 of hearts here. So anyway, I would definitely check this turn. This is a spot where a lot of people mess up. And I'm trying to think what happens here in people's minds. And really what it amounts to is like, I got a really good hand, let me bet with it. The problem with this is that they're literally never going to fold ace-jack or better. So if your opponent's literally never folding ace-jack or better, which should be a lot of their better hands, there's no point in betting because they're just going to play very, very well against the bets. Okay, so we do jam. Opponent does fold, right? And this is a bad result. A lot of people look at these results. Again, I don't know how Michael plays at all, so and I'm not saying that's necessarily what's happening here. I'm just going to use these hands to infer things about the generic or discuss the generic public. A lot of people in this spot are happy when they win this pot. They're like, okay, good, I got it. But in reality, this is bad. This is a terrible result. We have a very, very good hand with ace-9 of hearts in this scenario, and there's really no way we are trying to bluff and make a better hand fold because better hands are not going to fold. All right, next hand. Again, I have not seen many of these, so we'll see how it goes. Let me turn off the replayer nonsense noise if it's making it. All right, so here we have pocket sixes. We have a loose limp. So in this scenario, we have laggy, close to maniacal opponent and the hijack seat. Button cut off hijack. Okay, I'm sorry, it's this guy. Where are we? We're on the button. All right, we're on the button here with pocket sixes. All right, so it goes limp from second position. Hijack makes it 50 cents, so 5 big blinds. We're playing $12 deep. Actually, I see under the gun limped as well. So 2 limpers, hijack raises. I would limp here. I'm sorry, I would call here. Call the 50 cents. Seems like an easy spot to call. By the way, if you're listening to this, I'm sure I'm going to butcher the hand histories throughout this. Definitely check out youtube.com/pokercoaching for the replay of this if you're watching it later or listening to it later. So I like the call. This is a good example of the great spot where I just discussed. You really don't want to raise with pocket sixes here because even though it is the best hand sometimes, when you get 4-bet, it's awful. And when you get called, it's also not great because you're usually just going to flop very, very poorly. So easy spot to call with the sixes and try to see the flop. Now, if you expect under the gun to ever limp jam, I would definitely just fold. I do think folding is fine. You don't have to call in this scenario every time. I think a lot of people think they must play all small pairs in every scenario, but that's just not true. So folding's fine if you think you're going to get limp jammed. Like if this guy is a tight limper in general, I would probably just fold. But if this guy's playing a very loose strategy where they raise rarely and limp a lot, I'd be way more inclined to call to see the flop. Robert says, you play online micro stakes and this is gold. Thanks. Well, I'm very happy. Happy to help people who are out there helping their communities, adding value to people. And, if that's you, if you're out there adding value to people, let me know. Because, I realize I don't know all of you personally or even on the internet. And if you have good hands, feel free to send them in. Make sure it's an easy format for me to review. Ideally, hold and manage your hand histories are the best. And maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. Make sure it's very clear you want me to perhaps review them on a little coffee, and maybe we'll get to them at some point. I'm sure now that I said that, I'm going to get hundreds of emails. So, you're probably not going to be getting reviewed all that often, but we'll see. All right, we flop a set. Jack 6-4. Only the initial limper called. Initial limper checks. Pre-flop raise, or the loose maniacal guy bets $1.20. This is an easy call here. If we raise, the opponent is going to play very, very well. You may say, but is he maniac? If I raise, let's say, $3, won't he jam it with the king-queen offsuit? No, people are not jamming the king-queen offsuits. This is a situation where, as long as you call, your opponent's going to think your range is not very nut-heavy. And also when you call, it keeps your opponent's range very, 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 very wide, right? You want to keep the loose player's range as wide as possible when he's drawing thin to dead. Now, I realize this is a spot where you are going to get outdrawn every once in a while by a random 8-7 or a random flush draw, right? But for the most part, this guy's range is so wide to the point that he's going to be very near dead. So easy call on the spot. Also, if you call, sometimes the initial limper is going to check shove all in for 380. Then the Maniac's going to play sometimes, and then you get to put even more money in. So this is definitely a spot to call. We do call. Initial limper folds, turns a king of spades. So it's jack, 6-4, king, 2 hearts. Initial raiser now bets 280 or 208 into the 417 pot. I would definitely just call again. Same logic, right? The opponent's drawing nearly dead. You think he's a maniac, so he can have all sorts of garbage. He may even be overvaluing a hand like a jack here. And if you jam or raise, he's going to fold it. But if you call, he's going to check the river a lot, and then you can put in a solid, sizable value bet. He may then hero call, putting you on a lot of draws. So I would definitely call. We raise, though. I would definitely not raise. Like I said, when you raise, it just kind of forces the opponent to play well. Really, a trait of like laggy maniacs is that they are loose and aggressive until it becomes clear that they are beat. Okay? And then once it's clear they're beat, they just get out of the way. And to be fair, that's not actually that bad of a strategy in poker. Your opponents show weakness, bet. When your opponents show strength, well, get out of the way. This is what's been taught for like live cash games for a long time. Just value bet thin until they raise you. And whenever they raise you, you just fold everything. And like right here, in reality, what are we actually raising here? I mean, I don't know. Are we really raising here with the 9-8 of hearts? I think it'd be a sweet play. I don't know if we're doing it. Think about it, though. You really want to be putting in half of your stack here, over half your stack with the 9-8 of hearts? I don't think so. So if we have virtually no bluffs in this scenario, then it's a spot where it's tough to know what to do. How do you know if we're supposed to call if you don't see the hand? Oh, you don't know what cards your opponent has when you're playing poker. I already announced that our hero here, Cliffy, has pocket sixes. You're going to have to listen. We're reviewing hands from this site called Global Poker that apparently does not have a good replayer. So you're going to have to pay attention a little bit today. I can only review the cards that we have, or the information that we have. So we have pocket sixes here, everyone. Whenever you're playing poker, though, in player number 5456's shoes, you don't know what cards your opponents have. That's the tough thing about poker, is you have to figure out what your opponents are doing. And when you're a maniac, you should be betting a lot, because your opponents fold too often. And when they fold, you don't know what they have. But funny enough, when they raise, you start to know what they have. They usually have something pretty good. Does this hand play the same online? This is online poker, Balkan. This is a hand from 5 cent, 10 cent online poker that poker coaching member Cliffy played, and I'm reviewing these for him. I'm not sure why this is so difficult this morning. Maybe you all just tuned in or something. All right. This is a situation where I think we definitely need to call, though. As soon as you raise maniacs, they're going to fold out everything. I actually think this would be a sweet spot to raise with 9-8 of hearts. I think that'd be very, very nice. So anyway, that's that. We do raise, opponent folds, and again, disaster, because whatever the opponent folded was drawing thin to dead. Am I going to play the New Jersey, Nevada bracelet tournaments? Oh, I'm not going to. Do I think they will be significantly easier to win a bracelet than regular tournaments? Yeah, obviously. I mean, they're small stakes games for the most part, so you need a smaller bankroll in general. I imagine the fields will probably be smaller. I just cannot foresee people going to Nevada or New Jersey to play these. I mean, like some people will, like this is easy. I mean, in theory, I'm going to be sitting here in New York City, and it's it's an hour away. I'm not going to go for an hour away because it's just not worth it. I'm not going to go play a $200 buy-in tournament or whatever it is. I mean, it would take like an hour to get there, an hour to get back. It's just a mess. It's not worth it. So, therefore, will it be an easy way to win a bracelet? Yeah. One of the easiest ways you'll have a chance if you're a no-limit hold'em player. That said, at some point, we have to stop caring about the bracelets because when they're giving it away for winning random tournaments on the internet, they become a dime a dozen. That said, I have 0 of them, so take that for what it's worth. I may find a way to get it to Canada, though, to play some of the big field ones, because those are, well, some of the non-USA ones, because those have big fields, big buy-ins, and that'll be fun. Am I hiring? Hiring for what? All right, let's take a look at another hand. Here we have, we don't know our cards. Okay, this is just a general question. We raise 35 cents under the gun. Player and under the gun +1 calls. We see a heads up flop. Flop comes 8, 6, 5, 3 hearts. What should hero do? Question is, how do we go about balancing a range in this scenario? You probably want to be betting in reality something like 75-ish to 65-ish% of your range here. I think. And that's going to be just mostly overcards with hearts. Those are really good to bet. Flushes, obviously, over pairs, sets. You want to be betting basically all of your good hands here. This is a board that really does not line up all that well with the pre-flop caller if they're competent. Now, if the pre-flop caller is going to call with all sorts of connected cards, like 8-7, you're going to want to start doing a whole lot more checking. In position, you should very often bet these boards 100% of the time when you are the pre-flop aggressor because you have all of the good suited aces in your hand and your opponent doesn't. This is an interesting spot, though, where you probably do want to do a decent amount of checking. Maybe even more. I don't know, maybe like 50% of the time. To be fair, I have not studied under the gun plus 1 ranges all that often because that situation just doesn't occur all that often. But I imagine in this spot, you probably want to bet 60-ish% of the time, 50-ish% of the time. I'm lowering it as we go forward because the more I think about it, the opponent should have a lot of the ace-x suiteds in their range as well. So really our ranges kind of line up very well on each other. And when the ranges line up on top of each other nicely, you do want to do a decent amount of checking. That said, I think we probably have a bit of a nut advantage here. So with a bit of a nut advantage, maybe we do just want to be betting a little bit more often. And when you're betting not all the time, you're just always betting with roughly a polarized strategy. Okay. Here we have Ace of Hearts, King of Diamonds. Okay, we raise under the gun, 35 cents. Under the gun plus 1 calls. Oh, this is the same hand. Is this the same hand? This is the same hand you gave me. You maybe messed this up. Well, let's presume we have Ace of Hearts, King of Diamonds. We bet 40 cents to our Ace of Hearts, King of Diamonds. Sure. This is also a hand that you definitely could check. I think that would be fine. I'm telling you, if you look at the solver here, it's probably just going to be some big mess of a mixed strategy that's impossible to implement. We do bet 40 cents. Okay, so I think you messed up and didn't send me the proper hand for this one because it's the same link for both. Yeah, same link for both. Okay, fine. Next hand, we have Jack of Spades, Jack of Hearts. We raise it up to 35 cents. Button, 3 bets to $1.10. No reads on this player. But you've noticed people in small stakes games call shoves wider when short stacks shoves. Okay, so here, you raise to 35 cents. Button makes it $1.10. Big blind now jams 425. No reads on any of these players. I mean, I would probably just fold. This is a spot where... I mean, look, this is a tough one because you raise early-ish position. We have 3-bet from the button, which could be wide, right? We obviously weren't folding against that. Then we have this jam. Also, the problem is we're playing $14.50 deep against the button 3-better. And if you call here, sometimes you're going to get jammed on, which is really, really bad. So I think this is one of these spots where you probably just want to sidestep this. Because, I mean, I understand the player on the big blind could be jamming even like ace-5 suited or something, or ace-10 suited if they felt like it. If we were in a tournament, I would definitely fold here. In a cash game, I can be a little bit more understandable to not fold. But I think I would probably fold the jacks in the spot and just sidestep the scenario altogether. You do elect to jam. The problem with jamming now is that this player on the button gets to play very, very well. If they have aces, kings, queens, and ace-king, they're always going to call. And if they don't, they're always going to fold. I would actually venture to say, if you wanted to play this, maybe calling the 425 is better. Because then you'll at least induce some bluffs with like ace-10 suited or pocket 9s from the guy on the button. Whereas when you jam here, that forces the guy on the button to play really well. So I don't actually think I'm jamming anything in this spot. Maybe I jam ace-king specifically. Not that that's a great strategy. Maybe we jam ace-king. Would we fold queens here as well? No, I think I flat the queens. I definitely flat aces and kings. Ace-king you would like to jam, but I think flat calling may be fine enough just for balance purposes. Again, do we care about balance in small stakes games? Not so much. So maybe we do just want to jam the ace-king and call aces and kings. Maybe we jam queens, although I'm not sure that really makes a whole lot of sense because they're calling it off with ace-king, right? And they're probably not going to call it off with jacks. So yeah, we should probably flat aces, kings, queens, jacks maybe. I could get behind that. But I don't think we want to be jamming because when we jam, we kind of force this guy on the button to play well. And unless he's just a lunatic, he's going to play well. So he does have the aces. Notice when we do flat call the 425, that's going to result in us still calling it off here. If we put in 425, we're going to call it off, but at least then we induce some bluffs. When we jam, it essentially forces the opponent to fold out the garbage. GR Magic says, yesterday you had aces in the big blind. Early position raises, button shoves for a lot. You cold call. Yeah, obviously, that's fine. What's the name of this replayer? This is just default replayer for this poker site that I do not trust called Global Poker. They use some weird sweepstakes model. I do not recommend it. I have a replayer called Easy Hand Replayer. EASYHANDREPLAYER. Not sure if we're accepting new people right now. We use it for the poker coaching quizzes. I made it for myself because all the other replayers were bad, and I wanted to make a good one. So you can try to sign up. I don't know if it'll work though, because you have to ask, am I trying to make some replayer tool for everybody to use, or am I just trying to make something that's nice and quick and easy that I can put up with whatever glitches it has and I don't have to worry about it? So anyway, check out Easy Hand Replayer. What time do we do a webinar? Oh, we don't do a daily webinar. We do a webinar Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. This is called A Little Coffee. We've done this for only about a year and a half, so we're still new to it. Then we have webinars for poker coaching members all the time. I mean, go to pokercoaching.com, sign up. You'll see we have courses or webinars all the time, usually in the evenings. So anyway, I think this is a spot I would have just sidestepped. Obviously, though, with this guy has ace-9 offsuit, when he has ace-9 offsuit, getting it in becomes just way, way better, right? So I know you say that people with these stakes will like tilt shove it all in with garbage like this, right? So that should definitely make you more inclined to flat here. And if the initial 3-better knows that, that's going to make them kind of inclined to jam on it as a bluff. So that will allow you to then call it off happily. But I think when you rip it in, that kind of forces the guy on the button to play well, which is a disaster. Okay, that's what I would do here. Oh, hi. You wanted to turn this on for me? My wife wanted to turn on the monitor. I wasn't watching the baby. Mark, the problem with the replayer on an app is that it becomes a big pain. It turns out apps are a big pain. We spent something like $100,000 on this app we're making, the poker coaching app, so far, and we're still just lighting the money up. And at least I know I'm going to make money from poker coaching stuff. I'm not going to make any money from a free replayer. Okay, so anyway, I think I would have just sidestepped this one for the most part. But if you tell me the guy's range is very loose, then we're calling and then stacking off. But you see the difference here, right? If you flat call the 425, you give the guy on the button a chance to screw up. When you jam the over the 425, you force the guy on the button to play pretty well unless he's just bad. All right, next hand we have Ace of Spades, King of Hearts, and the big blind. You have a limp from, what is this? Under the gun +2. Small blind limps. I'd raise probably something like 60 cents. You check, though. I would definitely not check. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I read the wrong hand. We have 9 of spades, 6 of clubs. There you go. It's a little bit hard for me to follow this the way it's all lined up. But, okay, 9 of spades, 6 of clubs. Okay, you flop marginal made hand. So in a limped pot, this is an interesting one. I would probably just go ahead and bet. And the reason I would bet here is because if you check, it's going to go check, check, check a lot. You're going to find that in limped pots, it gets checked through way more often than it does in raised pots. So if this was a raised pot somehow, like say a 9-6 suited or something, I would definitely just check call. But in a limp pot, I would probably go ahead and bet this, mainly just for protection purposes. And you can get called by some worse stuff. So I think I would go for a bet of like 25 cents. Check, check, check. Like right here, right? Now this is miserably bad. Now you should probably check and then fold to a bet. See fear. Easy hand replayer allows you to input any hand. It does not support any network. You have to go through and type it in. It was made for live poker because that's where a lot of my hand histories come from. If it's not from live poker, every replayer I have is just like Hold'em Manager, right? I just load the hands into Hold'em Manager and it replays them. So you have to actually go through and enter the hand manually. But it's really quick and easy, and it works very well. Is betting here considered a donk bet due to the limper? No. A donk bet is a lead, okay? I don't like the term donk bet because it presumes it's bad. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's not. I prefer lead. A lead is when you bet into the aggressor on the previous betting round. There is no aggressor on the previous betting round. Therefore, there is no lead. You're betting into the initial limper. Call that what you would like. Anyway, river 2 pair, I would definitely bet here. And I would bet 25 cents again, kind of big. If you check, there's no reason to think this player 9430 is going to bet. Because he checked flop, so he probably doesn't have a king. Checked turn, so he probably doesn't have an ace. So if he doesn't have a king or doesn't have an ace, you're just trying to induce a bluff. No reason to think a generic random limper is going to be bluffing here, so I would just bet 25 cents. You bet 30 cents, which is good. I like that. Now you get check raised. Ooh. That's spicy. So you bet 30 cents. Initial limper folds. Small blind now makes it $1.20. Do we have any notes here? Let's see. Is there value in a 3-bet re-raise? Oh, I would never 3-bet re-raise here. I would literally never re-raise here. Re-raising would be awful. Re-raising would be awful, 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 awful. Okay? Because when you re-raise here, you're only going to get called when you're beat. Like literally every time. No one's ever going to check raise here like ace, jack, and then call off against a re-raise. I promise you they're not going to do it unless they're really bad. Again, I realize we're playing small stakes games, and to be fair, I am not all that well versed in playing 5-cent, 10-cent games, so take that for what it's worth, right? But if your opponent's anywhere near competent, when he check raises here, his range should be some worse value hands, like maybe ace 10 goes for a raise, but then also all the better hands, right? Now, the question is, would they actually check if they were sitting here with a straight or 2 pair? I don't know. The thing is, though, is if they have nothing, they're not going to call you re-raise anyway. So when you do get check raise, that usually implies you're against a very polarized range. Now, you don't know if it's the nuts or nothing, and it's probably going to be way more of one than the other, but it doesn't really make a difference here, because if it's a lot of nuts, you obviously don't want to re-raise, and if it's a lot of nothing, re-raising does no good. Re-raising does no good for your hand. 2 pair here. So I like the call. Easy call. Now, you could actually consider folding. I don't actually hate folding and against very straightforward players, but I would have always called. So you see, guy has ace 2 offsuit, right? Which is, I'm sure, what would make you think that this guy may just check raise ace 2 and then call off against a re-raise. And maybe he does. I don't know. Can't tell you for sure. I guess I would tell you to experiment, but I bet that re-raising here would be lighting your money right on fire, because I bet they're going to fold out the ace 2. And this is a terrible check raise by ace 2, by the way. Horrible, horrible play. It's nice to see horrible, horrible plays, though. When people are making horrible, horrible plays, that's going to allow you to print money. The great thing about playing micro stakes is you usually don't have to be there very long if you are very good compared to your opponents, because your bankroll just skyrockets. Like whenever I first started playing, I was not at the small stakes very long at all. Just immediately got out of them because the opponents were so bad. You should play some micro stakes for content. I did that a long time ago. I played 5-cent, 10-cent. The goal was to build a bankroll from $300. We were going to stay properly bankrolled. I was going to play 1 hour a week. We did that for about 2 years. We 2.5x the bankroll, which I did some math. I was actually super crushing them hard. But the problem is whenever you only play, 52 hours a week, you don't actually get a whole lot of volume in. And I hated sitting there grinding it out because no one was even watching it. No one cared. But no, I'm not going to sit there and play micro stakes. Sorry, I really just have no desire for that. Although maybe I will. Maybe I'll load up an hour of poker and do it. I'm going on a vacation. Well, called a vacation. I'm leaving my house. I'm leaving Manhattan on tomorrow. So maybe I'll load up some games and just play if we have time. Do we just play a linear range in micro stakes then? No, not necessarily. 52 hours is not a lot. No, 52 hours is nothing. Literally nothing. 52 hours of poker is like... Well, I mean, look, whenever I stream online, I stream 15 hours the last few Sundays. So, I mean, that's 4 days worth of play, 5 days worth of play. You think that's a lot of poker? It's not a lot of poker. Can I do a challenge? Look, everyone, I don't need to challenge myself at any point in time anymore by starting with no money and trying to grind it up. I've already done that. I'm already proof that I've done that. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't want to spend my time doing that. There's a lot more things I can do that help you all way more. All right. You have to ask yourself, does Jonathan Little want to sit around playing tiny stakes games that probably no one's going to watch anyway? I already know no one's going to watch it because I've already done it. It's just not beneficial. You think you meant 52 hours a year. 52 hours a year is definitely nothing. I think a lot of people think 52 hours, oh my gosh, that's such a big set, a lot of time. But no, it's not a lot of time. As Vulcan says, the guy has 2 newborns. He's not going to go back and play the micro stakes for fun. Yeah, that's right. You play 20 hours a week and you think it's a lot. PP for life. Listen, if you're playing 20 hours a week of 9 tabling, it's probably a pretty good amount. If you're playing 20 hours a week of 1 tabling, it's nothing. Back then, I was 4 tabling, by the way. So I was 4 tabling, 5 cent, 10 cent. And it's just it's not a lot of volume. I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's move forward. Next hand. Okay. Reza says, you're doing 60 hours a week and you make a solid $5 per week. Congrats. All right, here we have ace of spades, king of spades. So remember, this replayer does not show everyone's hands, so you're going to have to listen and pay attention. We have a raise to 64 cents all in from someone, from the low jack seat, around to us in the small blind. Big blind has 490. I think you probably just want to put in the min re-raise. I think min re-raise is fine. Yeah, I think this is fine. The problem with calling is you're going to be giving the guy in position in the big blind a pretty good price to call, and they're going to call with all sorts of like good suited connected type stuff, whereas when you re-raise, it just kills their implied odds with all their implied odds hands. You're usually going to find whenever someone jams, open jams in a tournament, for like 6 big blinds or less, you usually want to min re-raise. When it's 6 big blinds or more, you usually want to call. This is an interesting scenario, though, because you're out of position. And because you're out of position, I think you want to be way more inclined to put in the min re-raise here to whatever it be. 55 cents, 54 cents on top of this. You make it 220, though. I do not like 220. What cards does he have? I told you all you had to pay attention. We have the ace, king of spades. You have to listen to the words I'm saying. We have ace, king of spades here. If you're not listening to the words I'm saying, it's not going to work out very well for you. Okay, I would definitely just put in the min re-raise here. Because whenever you make it 220, now you force the big blind to play well again. So notice, we're seeing the same problem happening a few times so far, where you were putting in raises and re-raises, etc., that force the opponent to play well. And to be fair, if the opponents are still just going to butcher this spot and put it all in with the ace-4 offsuit, then sure. But that's not what's going to happen as you move up. And this is a spot where I always have a bit of a dilemma when I'm teaching small stakes players, because am I trying to teach them how to beat the small stakes games for the most money possible, or am I trying to teach them how to make them or how to be able to move up and beat the higher stakes games, right? Because you'll develop a lot of bad habits playing against people if you are just always trying to play the maximally exploitative style, and you don't realize that you're playing the maximally exploitative style, right? So definitely understand that. How's the quality of the stream today, by the way? I have this weird program up on my side that's just like a black box that says the stream is working. Can you build your money playing free rolls? You can build your money doing whatever you want. You probably make more money just getting a job and making $5 an hour, though. So funny enough, like this program shows me when the stream would have dropped. So the stream would have dropped 4 times so far, which is weird, right? But it's saying it like somehow kept it open. I'm not even sure. Whatever. All right, as long as it works, I don't really care how it works. All right, so yeah, I would re-raise minimum. You do get in against the queen 10. So let's see what your thoughts here. So in general, here versus 50 big blind stack in the big blind, should you be letting them into the flop or re-raising to isolate them? You want to re-raise the minimum because that kills their odds and gives them plenty of room to jam, right? It gets the best of both worlds here. Get in against queen 10, fine. All right, here we have ace of clubs, 3 of clubs. All right, we have a raise from low jack seat to 30 cents. Small blind calls. I would call the ace 3 of clubs in the big blind. Flop comes queen 3-2. Definitely check the pre-flop raiser. Pre-flop raiser bets 50 cents. You can check call here. Every once in a while, you can check raise something like bottom pair. This is a spot where I don't hate raising. The problem, though, is you don't really have very many obvious draws. When you want to be... Well, you want to be raising when you have lots of obvious draws. And the problem with check raising this is that your opponent is going to play decently well. So I would probably just flat. Turns 5 of clubs. Ooh, an interesting card. So the times you want to lead are when the turn is way better for you than for your opponent. Is this one of them? And is this a hand to do it with? I don't actually think it is a hand to do it. It's definitely not a hand to do it with because the hand's way too good. If I had a hand like King 4 of diamonds, I would definitely lead in this scenario. If I had, what else do we really have to lead? There's not a whole lot of obvious leads here. Maybe if we had like ace 2, maybe ace 2 is a hand to lead. So you have to realize you want to lead when the turn's very good for your range, very bad for your opponent. Now, it's not obviously all that bad for your opponent, but this is a nice spot to bet turn and then bet river. Mark says you're targeting middle pocket pairs. I mean, you're targeting middle pocket pairs, and you're targeting like ace king and jack 10 and all that, right? Having a club would be a better lead. The problem is what clubs do we have? I mean, king 4 clubs, I guess, but that hand can reasonably check call. We don't know if we need to lead that one. Do we have a whole lot of 7-4 of clubs? Probably not. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to come up with very many obvious bluffs. This would be better if the board was 6-4-3. We would be way more inclined to lead on 6-4-3 boards than 5-3-2 boards because the opponent's going to call turn bet with any ace and also better hands. So we're going to be in a pretty rough spot on the river. I think ace-3 club's just an easy check call though. We check. Opponent bets $1.42, 3-4 spot. I would definitely just call now. He's going to be very polarized. I would check call turn and then check fold river if I missed. You do raise to 340 though. So the problem with raising is that, well, look. So when the guy bets big on the turn, I have to presume he's going to be very polarized. That's going to be either a good made hand or a good draw. The problem is you block all the draws pretty hard. So the only draws that are available are like king, jack of clubs, jack 10 of clubs, king 10 of clubs, king 9 of clubs, etc. So there's actually not a ton of clubs here. 6 or 8 combinations, depending on how wide the guy's range is. And there's a whole lot of ace, queen, king, queen, queen, jack, pocket queens, pocket twos, etc. So I think I would have just check called and then check called a turn on the river 4. When you river a 4, I think you probably want to check. You definitely want to check because you want to give your opponent the chance to bluff with busted clubs. You bet though, and I think this is again a bad bet because you really do force the opponent to play very well here. If he has an ace, he's going to call. If he has a 6, he's going to call. If he has a set, I guess he'll call. But if he had a 6, if he had a set, he may just value bet himself if you check. Not that he should, but he may. So really the only hands you're going to get called here by are sets, and a lot of sets just rip it in on the turn anyway. So betting river really, again, does force the opponent to play well. He's not going to fold an ace here, I don't think. Let's read your thoughts. On the flop, second pair, turn to draw. You like to check raise to try to win the pot now. So if the opponent bets small on the turn, notice here he bet 3/4 pot. If he bets small, I think check raising starts to gain some merit. But when he bets big, his range should be very polarized. Now again, should be is tough to know. It's tough to definitively say this is correct in 5-cent, 10-cent cash games. But could be, right? I mean, you have to presume the opponents are playing at least somewhat well, or at least doing their best to. When they riverize, we like to shove since you could make this play with busted flush draws. Yeah, so now we're talking about balance, but we don't really care about being balanced. It's hard for your opponent to call any one pair hands, I agree. Is this a spot where you should go big and have more bluffs or go small and try to get crying calls? This is a spot where you should check to try to get random underpairs to turn themselves into bluffs. This is a spot where you should check to try to get busted clubs to bluff. So that's what I would do in this scenario. Hit that like button. I agree. Matt Affleck says you probably check raise your range here. Wow, you're aggressive. On the 5? No, you can't check raise everything here. I think when the opponent bets big on the turn, especially in smaller stakes games, well, in any game really, that's just going to be very telling of a very polarized range. And if it's polarized and we have the ace of clubs in our hand, it's very hard for the opponent to have a lot of bluffs, right? So that means we're going to be against a whole lot of queen X type stuff. And just strong hands in general. And if it's strong hands in general, he's not going to fold, and then he's going to play very well on the river. I mean, he's going to pay us off on a club river, but a 4 river, he's not going to pay us off. Michael, whose hands these are, says he takes quizzes from Matt, so it's Matt's fault. Good. All right. Anyway, I would have just checked call turn and played straightforwardly once the guy blast. I don't know, Matt, you think this guy has way too many bluffs in his range when he bets flop and then bets turn big? Let me know. I don't think so, but maybe. All right, next hand we have ace-queen offsuit here, okay? We raise to 35 cents, get 3-bet to $1.90. Oh my God. So we make it 35 cents, guy makes it $1.90. Okay, let's just read this here. Well, let's see what happens. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong hand. Gosh, I keep reading the wrong hands here. Okay, we have ace. Yeah, we still have ace-queen offsuit. Funny enough, this hand is 2 ace-queens. 5-handed, you think loose players, you can extend your 4-bet bluffing range to include ace-queen. So the problem you're running into right off the bat here is that this guy's made it $1.90. You made it 35 cents. He makes it $1.90. Some people are saying 4-bet fold, and you even recommend 4-bet fold. What are you going to 4-bet to? 420 or something, and then fold for $12? I mean, you need to win 33% of the time. I mean, I would actually, if this is not a normal play from this guy, I would just fold immediately. I know that sounds nitty. I know people in small stakes are bad. But if these people normally just don't 3-bet a lot, when they 3-bet, their range is going to be super nut heavy. Also, I think you're going to find when people re-raise big, it's almost always a hand like ace, king, or jacks or tens that's not getting folded. So against ace, king, jacks, or tens, your queens is in pretty bad shape. Well, let's see what happens here. If you 4-bet, I don't really see how you can fold to a jam. Because, I mean, even if you make it small, like $4, and the guy jams, you need to win 33%. And, I mean, if we 4-bet in the first place, we're kind of saying that this guy... that you're saying this guy is too loose anyway. So if you think the guy is too loose anyway, or you're just trying to find a bluff, I don't know. I don't think you can fold it off here. All your charts say ace-queen is a 4-bet fold. Balkan. Understand, your charts are irrelevant here. Please understand, when you make it 35 cents and a guy makes it $1.90, your charts are completely irrelevant. They are stone irrelevant. And you're going to find that in general, in small stakes games, your chart's going to be irrelevant because when you do get 3-bet by a lot of people, their range is not the GTO range. Their range is something different. We're not playing against good, fundamentally sound opponents. We're playing against players who are making mistakes. The tough thing is what mistakes are they making? And this is where player pool tendencies are very important and where I am going to be very, well, lacking is what it amounts to. Because I don't know what these people are doing. If this guy's making $1.90 every hand when he's playing, I would definitely just put in the 4-bet for value, right? Make it $5.60 and don't fold. So that's what I would do in this scenario. You do flat, just like sure. But again, I think we're going to be shown that range I told you a second ago. Funny enough, on ace-jack-10, you actually lose to all that range besides 10s, right? The problem is calling's going to have a difficult time. Reinhardt, it's not going to be a difficult time if we see the flop, because if you make a pair, you don't fold. And if you don't make a pair, you do fold. Life's easy. I think a lot of people think at this point this is a difficult spot now that we have the top pair. This is an easy spot. You're stacking off every time. Question is how to keep the opponent's range as wide as possible, and I think here we probably just want to be check calling. We check, guy pots it. I mean, now when he pots it, do we put it in or do we call? Once they bet so big, again, this is one of these rough spots where it should be very polarized, but like what is polarized here? This guy's just going to show up with all nuts. I mean, I'm literally never folding. If you find yourself here, the problem is when you find yourself here, you just block ace-king, right? Obviously, you could have jacks, you could have ace-king, even though you block it. Do we call or do we jam? I think once he makes it so big, it's probably okay to just... maybe we're supposed to call. Yeah, I guess call. Well, no, I mean, Reinhardt, the tough spot here is do we call or do we jam, right? It's not a question of fold. We're not folding. Either call or jam, either one. You like the jam. Guy has 10s for literal airball. Hey, we got in the pre-flop range, right, didn't we? Aces, ace, king, jacks, or 10s. Guy has the literal airball. Don't know why the guy would have the literal airball here once you check shove them all in. Again, this goes back to just people playing poorly, right? Now look. If people are going to stack off with 10s on any board containing an ace, obviously you just can't fold pre-flop. You have to presume the opponent in this scenario would bet small and then fold to a raise, or just let it go check, fold to a river bet. That's what a good player would do. But these players play very poorly, which is a good reason to not fold. Someone said you should lead the flop. Definitely don't lead the flop. That, again, should make the opponents play pretty well. All right, next hand. Ace-queen again. Wayne says lots of people play like that on the site. Well, good. Don't fold then. Don't fold good hands. What happened here? We raised buttons. All right, let me try to figure out what happened here. All right, we raised button to 35 cents. Small blind makes it $1.40. We're playing three-handed. We have ace-queen again. Small blind should really have a 3-bet or fold strategy versus a button raise, sure. However, this guy's flat called numerous times. So that would make you more inclined to think this guy's range is just going to be very polarized, or perhaps just good, strong linear, if this guy does flat call small blind a lot. And that is a good inference. What do we do here? I mean, I'm not folding again. I think we probably just want to call. But 4-bet, get it in is fine. You have to realize, button versus small blind, you can just get it in wider. Either play's fine. You flat, don't fold. He bets, I would call. He bets, I would call. As you see, the guy has nothing again. I don't know what the deal is with these people. They just keep blasting off with nothing. Guy, I mean, this. So he has pocket kings on ace 6-2. Very obvious marginal made hand. He bets the flop and then jams the turn. Horrible jam on an ace 6-2 8 board. You're literally only going to get called when you're beat. Horrible, 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 horrible play. Good. Congrats. I'm glad you found these games. All right. Here we have queen jack suited. We raise it up under the gun 6-handed. Small blind 3-bets small to 80 cents. Oh my god. He's clearly a reg. Oh, hijack's clearly a reg. Okay, so the hijack called your initial raise. He plays lots of tables. This is a spot where I would definitely call the small pre-flop 3-bet. Yeah, I would call. I mean, you don't love being 3-bet small ever, but I mean, we're seeing these people play absurd, so you can definitely put in 55, what is it, 55 cents? No, 45 cents. 45 cents into a pot is going to be $2.50 or something. Flop comes king, jack, 7. So we have queen, jack here. We have middle pair. And this 3-better checks. I would check. Guy on the button bets 230. Guy on the small blind jams. Well, we have easy fold with queen, jack. Easy fold. What would we do in this scenario? A better question is, what if it went check, bet 230, fold? I would probably just fold as well. For an almost pot-sized bet from someone who's presumably a good reg. This is going to be a whole lot of good made hands and good draws. Notice he blocked the draw, right? The queen 10 draw. Yeah, Mark nails it. These people believe if you have a good hand pre-flop, it doesn't really matter what the flop is. They just got unlucky. I mean, that's accurate, right? Reinhardt says everyone's going to go play on this side after this hand review. Yeah, seems accurate. I mean, easy fold in all scenarios. I would just fold to any big bet here. Because big bets should be very polarized, and you're going to realize your equity very poorly. You're just going to keep getting barreled by a competent player with a lot of that range. So anyway, easy fold. As you see, king, queen, pocket jacks. Nice sidestep. Fernando, good morning. Keok says, under the gun, you open 9. 9s to 420, $80 deep at 40 no limit. 40 cents big blind, I guess. All right, button 3-bets to 5. You call, flop comes 5-4-2, you lead. I would never take the lead. I would literally never take the lead. Do not lead. You want to lead when you have the range advantage and nut advantage. Well, mainly when you have range advantage. Having nut advantage is nice too. You do not have the range advantage here. All right, in this scenario we have hand unknown. Nothing really says micro stakes like this hand. Well, let's see what happens. Min raise. Oh, wait. Min raise, call. Call. Check. You bet 10 cents. I would never bet 10 cents here, Cliffy. I don't know what you have. They all fold. Great. Now look. The question is, should we be doing this as an exploitative play? And, hey, if it works, if it's free, if it's literally free, you might as well take the pot. The nice thing about this bluff, it needs to work, 1 in 14 times? Everything that works 1 in 14 times, right? All right, next hand, 8-6 of hearts. Limp, you limp, which I think is fine. You can limp after early position limper. You flop the flush, 10-4-2. 55 cents call. I would just go ahead and raise immediately. Just get money in the pot. I like a $2 raise. Now you get jammed on. Easy call. I mean, it's unfortunate. If one of these two guys called, I would actually fold. But once we're just in this spot, $10 to win, 26. I mean, how can you not call? All right, here, average pot size on this table is 50 big blinds, so that's very big. And you wanted to catch the whale before they blast it off. That definitely is something you want to do. Look for games that have big average pot sizes. Some people think, oh, I don't want to play big pots. I want like nice low variance poker. But no. You want to be playing against people who are just blasting it all the time. Now, you don't know who is blasting it, but somebody's there blasting it. So anyway, this is easy call. However, you have this player tagged as reg 6+ tables, winning at most. Okay. His range looks like flushes, maybe non-nut flushes, sets, sure. Anything with the ace of hearts, sure. You elected to get it in, but considering you blocked the worst flushes, you blocked some of them. Can you get away from this? No. You cannot fold. You must call it off. If this guy is anywhere near good or competent, you just gotta pay. He has Jack 9 of hearts, you lose. That's fine. This is the type of thing that is going to happen. You can't really worry about this. Sometimes you're just going to lose. Now, again, it goes back to the idea. You tell me the guy just has the nuts every time, maybe we can fold, but you have to have good reads to understand that. All right, pocket queens. Queen of spades, queen of clubs. Under the gun raises to 30 cents. Either call or 3-bet. 3-bet's default, but call's fine. You make it $1.05. Small blind makes it $1.48 all in. I don't think the action has been reopened, so I don't think you can re-raise. If you could re-raise, you would. Flop come, so under the gun calls, so we're 3-way, one guy all in. Flop comes queen 3-2, 2 hearts. I would just bet tiny here, like $1. Yeah, I like $1 bet. Now I understand that in pots like this, you should very often just consider checking. And checking is fine, but I definitely think you want to try to get money in the pot. Let's see what you say here. You're not going to draw to conclusions too fast. Okay, so we don't know anything about the opponent. You think micro stakes players tend to tilt off their stacks, so is there any merit to re-raising smaller pre-flop to give this guy room to jam? No, so I wouldn't pre-flop. Let's go back to pre-flop. I would not be so concerned with this guy because apparently he just lost a hand. Maybe he's going to tilt off the rest of his stack. I would not be so worried about that. You cannot bank on that happening. I mean, it happens sometimes, but you certainly can't bank on that happening and be sure it's going to happen. So I would not be concerned about that at all. If you're looking at people in the pot who have not put money in the pot, unless you're playing live poker and their chips are they're in the pot already, you should not presume these people are going to be going all in overly wide. So I would not be so worried about that. So anyway, I'm not so concerned with people who have not put any money in the pot. He checks flop. I would check or bet small. Either plays fine. You go $1.90. I think this is way too big. This is going to force this guy to fold out everything besides pairs and decent draws. If you bet way less though, like $1, he's going to feel that you have to be somewhat inclined to defend very wide, which to be fair, he should defend very wide. So that's fine. Chris says, you just watched the video I did with Mike Sexton on how to hold on to your $1 million. Fantastic content. Well, you're very welcome. Mike and I both lit a bunch of money on fire. We're both blowtorches. So, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully you can learn from some of our debacles, our disasters. Is this live? It is live. Hello, good morning. We do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay. So, Cliffy, I would definitely tell you there's a lot of spots like this where you have been betting too big. You're not giving your opponents room to make mistakes. And in small stakes games, you really want to give them room to make mistakes. And it seems like they're willing to make them if you give them room, or if they just happen to get something they think is decent. So please, 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 you need to be using smaller bets, maybe doing a little bit more checking in scenarios, but probably just smaller bets across the board is going to be very beneficial for you. Maybe the idea of balance you need to kind of forget about against some of these people. Here we have king, queen of clubs. We're playing double the stakes now. 70 cents raise, I would call or 3-bet. Either one's fine. Oh, wait, where are you? I'm sorry. You raise under the gun. All right. Flop comes queen, jack, 7. You're first. I like a medium to big bet. I think checking's also fine. This is a spot where you do want to check a decent amount of the time because button callers should be pretty decent. Like their range should connect decently well with queen, jack, 7, so check call's fine. You do bet $1.25 though, that's acceptable too. Turns a 9, I would definitely check here. This is one of these spots where you probably want to be checking most of your hands in this scenario. This is a turn that nails the opponent pretty hard. So this will give him some sort of showdown value. This is one of these scenarios where in live poker, you could probably get away with betting and then just making reads. But in online poker, I don't necessarily think we can bet here and then fold this ever if we get raised. But it's probably what you should do. Maybe I'm overly concerned about getting raised. But I would just check, call, I think, at this point. I mean, that's definitely what I would do in a tournament. I'm not sure if it is ideal for these cash games, though. You do bet again, call, river's a king, so now the board's queen, jack, 7, 9, king, a 10 is a straight, and I would check again. You check, guy bets 530. This is classic bluff catcher scenario, right? Are we good 25%? Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. So I think I would have folded. It's just so easy to have an ace or a 9, ace or a 10, right? Come on, what is this? So funny enough, he did have ace 10, so he floated flop with gut shot, which is fine. Call turn with double gutter, which is fine. Or with open-ended, which is fine. And then got there on the river and bet, which is fine. Fine play by the opponent. I mean, he could have threw bet pre-flop, but whatever. Again, this is one of these spots where if you see people punting in your games, then definitely just don't fold. But if you do see they have the nuts a lot in this scenario, I would probably fold. And this is a spot where it's very easy to have the 10, given the opponent's pre-flop range and flop calling range and turn calling range, right? And he may not even turn. So whenever you're calling here, you need the guy to be turning one pairs into bluffs. Like, is this guy going to take ace jack and bluff it? Probably not. Is he going to take jack 8 suited and bluff it? Probably not. Anytime, like, I really don't bank or count on small stakes players to try to turn made hands into bluffs. I would generally presume that's not going to happen all that often. So therefore, in this scenario, if all the bluffs are marginal made hands, I'm going to be way more inclined to fold than if there are some very, very obvious bluffs, like, you know, no showdown value hands. There's a question over here about grinding up a bank. Is $400 to $500 good enough to grind? Oh, so here's a question from Mario. With a starting bankroll of $400 to $500, would you recommend to multi-table, or at what point do you start playing multiple tables? I would tell you, well, first off, if you're not good at poker and you're very, very bad, and you don't know what you're doing, start with 1, clearly. If you have a positive win rate, go to 2. If you still have a solidly positive win rate, ideally, 5 to 10 big blinds per 100, EV big blind per 100 is better. If you have a 10 big blind, EV big blind per 100, play more. If you ever have something like 8 EV big blind per 100 or more, just add more tables. Keep adding more tables until it starts to dip. Is global poker really this easy? Micro stakes are this easy. And also, to be fair, this is not every hand. These are selected hands. Who knows how long it took to play these? Maybe it took a day. Maybe it took 5 minutes. Maybe it took a year. I don't know. But are micro stakes easy? Yes, they are. Because everybody's really bad. The only thing you really have to be worried about at the micro stakes is the rake. Some sites rake a lot, and if they rake a lot, it may be somewhat close to unbeatable. Maybe, maybe not. Here we have 9-7 of spades. You open it up. You get 3-bet. Probably supposed to just fold to small blind 3-bet. Whatever. Call 4-bet, do whatever you want. You put in the 4-bet to 670. So here, you can go a little bit smaller, I think. When you're in position, maybe make it something like 620. I know it's not that big of a deal between 620 and 670, but I'm going to try to nitpick everything just to, as if you are a private coaching student. Because right here, when this guy has garbage, he's just going to fold to any 3-bet. So yeah, you can 4-bet if you feel like it. I think it's aggressive. I don't think I'd be doing it all that often. I think I'd probably just fold to the small blind 3-bet. But, whatever. Flop comes ace, queen, 10. Does global rake a lot? I have no idea. Go there. Go to their website and see. All these sites have a website that displays their rake. Opponent checks. I mean, you're probably just supposed to bet something like $2.50 here, or $3 here. Presumably, your normal range has a pretty big nut advantage and range advantage here. And you don't need to bet big to build a pot, so you can go small with your whole range. The problem is if you have a lot of these hands in your range, like 9-7 of spades, then maybe you should just give up. So you gave him a range. You say you have 56% range advantage. Sure. If you remove a few of your opponent's under pairs, though, that they may not have, then it gets closer to 50-50. So this really depends on what your 4-betting range looks like. I mean, if your 4-betting range is literally aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, king, ace, queen, like that's going to crush your opponent's range. So I'm not sure what range you gave for yourself, but I think your range is probably tighter than whatever it is you said it is. Your range is not your whole cutoff opening range. I want to make that really clear. That is not your range. Your range is very different than that because you're going to call the 3-bet sometimes. This is from the implementable 4-bet bluffing GTO chart. Okay, sure. I think that's fine. So as long as you enter it right, make sure you enter it right. Anyway, I think I would just bet small. I don't think you need to go 460. Because, like, right here, you're just trying to fold out under pairs, right? You're trying to fold out under pairs and, like, 9-8. When you bet this big, I think it's going to really force your opponent to just never fold any pair on the board. Because those any pair on the board is probably going to have a gut shot to go with it. So it's a bit of a bummer. I think you can just go a little bit smaller and save money. So, like, I could get behind all of these plays you made, the 4-bet pre-flop and the bet on the flop, but I would have used smaller sizes. That would have allowed me to bet a little bit smaller pre-flop, so we save money when he folds then. Or when he jams us then. And also, if you bet smaller on the flop, you save a little bit of money then too, and that saves you money in that situation. So slightly smaller bets. Slightly smaller bets in general. It doesn't seem like you're making all that many small bets. Which, I mean, I realize in cash games you're supposed to make bigger bets than in tournaments, of course. But there are still definitely scenarios where you can go smaller. Especially if we're trying to maximally exploit the opponents. All right, last hand, we have pocket threes. We raise it. 70 cents, get called, flop the nuts, comes 10-8-3. Just bet here. Pot's 220, I would go kind of big. This is a spot where we should be betting somewhat polarized. So for betting somewhat polarized, I would bet $1.70. So you go $1, and I would definitely go bigger. So, Cliffy, it's interesting because it seems like you're making bets. I'm not sure you're making the bets for the right reasons, or if you have a good reason for the bets. So whenever you're betting, you always want to be asking, am I betting here frequently? And if you're not betting here frequently, then you usually want to be going for a big bet across the board. Because when you're not betting frequently, you're essentially saying I'm betting with a very polarized range, which is really good hands and draws. With the draws, you don't care if they fold. With the really good hands, you want to build a pot. Now, I get the idea that, okay, I have the set. I want to bet small to get called. The thing is, though, is that we want to build the pot here really badly, and 10-8 on the board lines up really well with button and big blind callers. So I would definitely go for $1.70 bet in this scenario. Big blind calls, turns a jack, which is fine. Obviously 9-7 gets there and queen 9, but whatever. So notice here that if you just bet bigger on the flop, obviously he maybe would have folded, but now you have to bet $3, he's going to call, pot's going to go to 10, and then you still can't jam the river. If you just bet $1.70 on the flop, let's go back over here, I'll show you. If we bet $1.70 on the flop, pot would go up to, what, $3.40 on top of this? So $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 or so. Then you can bet something like 4 on the turn. So now we'd have an additional $5 out of our stack. So pot would have been 6 plus 8, which goes to 14. So you'd have had $15 in your stack and $14 in the pot, which would have allowed for roughly a pot-sized river jam. Maybe you could even go a tiny bit bigger on the turn. But now you have to go, like even when you go kind of big on the turn, you can't get all of your money in. So it's very important to make sure you're building the pot appropriately. You bet turn $3, he jams, easy call. I mean, obviously you lose to the 9-7 and the jack, queen 9. Whatever. All right, let's see. You ended up with a smaller size than you thought because you wanted to induce people to raise. So far you've typed in 2 things today that really presume your opponents are trying to get after it, and you're basically assuming things about your opponents that I'm not sure are 100% accurate. Like, for example, you mentioned earlier, you think people who lose a pot are going to be really inclined to tilt off the stack on the next hand. I'm not so sure that's 100% true. Maybe it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not actually even near sure. I bet you're probably wrong. I bet they will tilt off sometimes, but not all the time. So I would check that. And also, like here you say you bet small on the flop because you think that that's going to induce them to raise you very wide. Clearly it didn't happen this time, right? And the thing is, on boards like this, you really don't want to bet small because you're giving them really good odds to draw, which is not good, right? So you are making a small bet thinking that one of these 2 guys are going to raise you. Notice guy on the button has shown no, like you don't have a reason to think the guy on the button has a good hand. And small blind, he checked, so there's no indication either of these players should be very inclined to check raise you. So you can't really bank on either of those things. So you're making big assumptions, trying to get people to do things that, like in my mind, are just totally out of your control. So anyway, I'd call it off, of course. He has a jack and a 10 for a top 2 pair, and you win. Good. What are my thoughts on raising pocket threes? Definitely raise pocket threes in the hijack seat and small stakes games. Realistically, I'd probably be raising all pairs in small stakes cash games. You want to play wider than the GTO ranges, most likely. And the reason for that is because, look at me, I'm all sweaty. I'm in the sauna. You want to be raising with wider ranges because your opponents are just going to be making mistakes. And we saw left and right, the opponent's making tons of mistakes here. So you want to play more than your fair share of pots. I would usually raise wider with suited aces, with suited connectors, and with all the pairs. Not so much the big offsuit cards. By the way, we have a sale. I didn't mention that all day. Forgot about that. For Father's Day. Father's Day is Friday. If you're out there and you're a father, or you want to give something to a father, or if you wish you were a father, or if you know a father, poker coaching is a perfect gift for them. You can check it out at pokercoaching.com/Father's Day. You can get a big discount on poker coaching and poker coaching premium. Cliffy, thanks for submitting the hands. Keep up the good work. I'm glad we've picked up on a few things that that perhaps you can do differently, because that's good and beneficial. In the small stakes games, you want to let people mess up. And when you bet big, the only mistake it allows them to make is for them to make an overly wide call. Some people will, some people won't, but I think you're going to find that most people won't. And if most people won't, then that's an exploit you want to be using with your bluffs. But if they will make lots of bluffs if you check, or overvalue their hand if you check, which I think a lot of people will, that's definitely what you want to be doing with your decently strong hands. All right. That's going to be it for today. We went over an hour. Hope that's okay for everyone. Sometimes we go over an hour. Again, if you listen to this podcast, it's going to be way easier for you to watch it at youtube.com/pokercoaching. We have lots of content there. Go there, click like, click subscribe, share it with your friends. What are my thoughts on the real-time solvers? You all may not know this, but there was a poker backing site that got banned from PokerStars about 1.5 years ago. I know this because I advise a different poker backing site, and we're always working to develop legal tools. And, well, it turns out real-time solvers were not legal according to PokerStars. They retroactively banned them, took all the backing sites' money. There were like 60 players. Stars confiscated all their money and made it clear you cannot use real-time solvers. Party Poker's done the same thing. There was a video of a real-time solver on GG the other day. They claim it works on all the sites. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. What are my thoughts on it? It's definitely a threat to online poker, but I mean, it's existed for at least 1.5 years as far as I know. And I guess it's just not new news to me, but I realize it is new news because I guess someone posted a video of them actually using it on YouTube. Sites have to do a good job of cracking down on things like that. The problem, though, the guy writes it on YouTube, just there's an easy way to run it on a different computer so it's completely undetectable. And it is still detectable because sites know what perfect GTO looks like, and they can run your hands through it and compare it, and if you're playing perfect GTO, they'll just ban you. Which is kind of brutal, because then there's almost like if you play too well, you get banned. So it's definitely tough to know what the correct fix is. But I mean, look, this is the reason one of the reasons cash games have been dead online for a long time at the medium and high stakes. And also one of the reasons tournaments are soft and are thriving, because the real-time solvers don't work so well in tournaments because you're playing various stack sizes, you're playing with payout implications, and the game is just way, way, way more difficult to play. If you are not a Poker Coaching Premium member and you want to upgrade, yes, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com. We'll get you upgraded. If you ever have any questions about your memberships or anything like that, if you want to pay with a different method, if you want to upgrade, if you want to do anything, just send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com, and we will take care of you. Because we appreciate you and we are happy that you're a Poker Coaching member. That's going to be it for today. If you enjoyed this type of content, let me know in the comments. Click like. If this gets 500 more likes than a little coffee, maybe we'll do more of these. If it gets no likes, well, you know what'll happen then. And if you have hands you would like me to review, make sure they're in a Hold'em Manager format, ideally. That's nice and easy for me to input. And I'm not going to promise that I'll do them, but maybe we will eventually. Seems like I think you all like this. This is good. All right, have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great, great weekend. And I will talk to all of you again. When will I see you again? Monday morning, 9 a.m. for a little coffee. Bye-bye.